Welcome back to the Morning Show here on Arise News. In order to stand out in any business or organization, branding is a key aspect. Our next guest is the Chief Executive Officer of Brandzone Consulting, a consulting firm with accounts with the likes of Total, BMW, Land Rover, and Qatar Airways, just to mention a few. Joining us to speak on general branding and how it can aid individual development and its impact on economic growth in business is Chizor Malize. Chizor, welcome to the Morning Show.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to the Morning Show. It's nice to have you again.
Yes,
I remember the last time
back.
I saw you was at the Lancome event.
Yes.
Empowering women.
Empowering women, yes.
We just spoke to an expert in marketing, and now Banjo.
Right.
I don't know whether you saw that on TV.
I saw that live on TV.
What's the difference between branding and marketing? Because, someone can confuse both.
Okay, I'll start with branding, and then we'll take it to marketing. What branding does is to be able to create an identity that is extremely unique, that is ownable, and that speaks to quality and competitiveness. And what marketing does is to pick that product, that item, that idea to the marketplace and create market for it and put it in the hands of people, whether it's a product, whether it's a nation, whatever it is. And branding starts it off by driving the strategy, by creating out of nothing or reshaping that which exists, but marketing helps us pave its ways into
How do you protect your brand?
Protecting
the brand is usually a major issue.
It's very critical.
On a sustainable basis.
On a sustainable basis. Well, it's very important as well. But I'll start with, having built it, it becomes extremely crucial to protect your frontier, like everything that is precious to you. And so the best way to start out is through trademarks, property. If it's intellectual, you must be able to retain the property through trademarks and registrations, and that's the only way you can own your forth. Some people take that for granted, and they've built something real good, which other people take ownership of, and that can be very, very devastating. But that's the best way, legally, to be able to protect and hold your
You always
forth.
have to just trademark your product.
Trademark your product, or trademark trademark that which belongs to you.
Okay.
How do you deal with the challenge of demarketing? You take a product to the marketplace, there's a lot of competition. In this country at the time, we had a problem with one product. I don't want to mention the name.
There are many.
And then, the company came forward and said, oh, this is the handiwork of our competitors. So that's why I asked you the question about protecting your brand. But if there's an attempt to demarket you, what do you do?
Under normal circumstances, the world is very competitive, and it's only natural. There is not a single product that's got only one originator. One person conceives it, other people recreate it. But when you maintain your forte is one thing, but you can't stop other people from getting into your territory. Sometimes, through what we call guerrilla marketing, some people get into your top deliberately to kill your product, to kill your market. So the best thing to do is to be as strategic also as at the time you are conceiving your product or your business, because you need to simulate all of those and hold your fort. But the greatest thing is to have quality, to have a good name, to have a great market engagement plans. So do not become reactive just because people have gotten into your turf. So be strategic, be focused, look out for all of this. Don't wait until the bad things happen before you begin to communicate and engage with the marketplace.
You talked about personal brand, product brand, and national brand.
All of it.
Can you talk a bit more about these three categories? How does a person brand himself?
Yeah, that's what I'm more interested in. How do I...
Without appearing boring.
Yes. Okay, we'll start with the personal.
Yes.
We know the way that every single one of us go through life phases. And at every point in time, there are different issues and circumstances around us. To build your personal brand keeps you extremely relevant every step of the way. Because at every phase, either your target audience has changed, the engagement you are facing is different, or you are actually supposed to be moving on to something that is higher. Are you equipped to step onto that role? Are you equipped to hold on to that role? But more intelligently, have you recreated yourself and revitalized yourself and created a new you that can engage with people? So in building your personal brand, a lot of people just think it's about looking good. It's much more than that. It's beyond that. It's creating huge volume of content inside of you that you can share with people, that you can engage with people, that keeps you confident enough to be able to not only hold your turf, but only hold on to all of life challenges.
Okay, so that's with personal branding. So you have to, you're saying you have to continue to
reinvent yourself, refuel yourself, revitalize yourself, and most importantly, have huge content in terms of knowledge and engagement processes.
But how do you brand nations? Is Nigeria properly branded?
It's the same principle applies for every nation in the world. I think that the problem with the nation Nigeria in terms of a brand is we are not and have never been deliberate about the way we position the country to the rest of the world. And so what happens here? We let everybody else except us share our narratives or tell our stories. And so everywhere you go in terms of the media, in terms of global media, the kind of content that are showed or aired or spoken about the nation are totally different from what we give us equity or opportunities. They are mostly very negative. So we just have to take the reins and flip our narratives and make our stories our stories. And so what are our stories, you would ask me? It's a story of a nation that is filled with highly creative, innovative, strategic, entrepreneurial-driven people. How many of share the stories? How does the nation share the stories? How are we deliberate and intentional about the way we say this to people, even in national media? Do we really even talk about this? We are simply relying on the world of music and fashion and Nollywood to sell us. And I give kudos to that industry because on a day-to-day basis, they are selling this nation.
Yes.
So imagine what can happen if the nation and the people who are in the position of authority can flip some of these fantastic narratives and begin to push a Nigeria that is not only promising, but also fulfilling, but is also changing the entire world stage to the world. We're not telling ourselves.
But if you look at it, some efforts have been made in that direction in Nigeria, except you want to say those efforts are not adequate. Under Dora Akunyili, as Minister of Information, we had a great country, good people, you know, and we've had similar efforts. What do you think is wrong with those efforts?
Great efforts, I must say, but sustainability is very critical. And so you make the effort and you say this much, and after a while you leave a void this much. And so people begin to fill the void for you. We must continue to talk about it. We must continue to be deliberate about it. We must also work with the sectors and industries that are creating this sort of exciting engagement for the world. We must work with them closely to be able to shape the communication and the positioning in a way that the world really knows. We can't do a little bit of it and then we drop off. We must be able to build upon it and build upon it and also begin to think about giving the Nigerians and the young people a sense of pride through those stories.
If you want to give... Oh, okay.
Oh, go ahead. No worries. Okay, I was going to talk about women professionals because obviously, Dr. Abati, we women are the people that really push and change and make a lot of change. And you were recently at the Women in Marketing and Communications conference, which was held, I think it was yesterday or the day before, right?
The weekend.
And the weekend before.
Right.
And you were awarded a female brand Personality of the Year.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, outstanding best female brand personality of the year.
That award was themed Press for Progress, correct? Can you share some keynotes that you took away from that event?
The greatest thing for me from that event were the discussions and deliberations about being, again, intentional about giving women the opportunity to take roles that would not only project them more, but would also catalyze growth, knowing how well and how committed women are to growth, to progress, to result. And one of the discussions and deliberations, and I give a lot of commendation to the organizers of that program, was the fact that it becomes necessary that women are given greater opportunities of exposure, are put in roles, are also put on boards, because sometimes, if we're not deliberate about that, the issues that concern women are relegated to the background. Meanwhile, women, like we know, are drivers, are change makers and are catalysts. So being intentional about women engagement and women involvement was one great thing.
Well, for the purpose of our education, can you give us some examples of successful brands in the 3 categories and why each of those brands, is successful? Because that may be more useful to somebody listening to us than the theory.
Yes.
Okay, I'll start with, let's start with nation in the categories that you spoke about, and then we'll talk about business and we'll talk about people.
Yes.
And without any sort of sentiments, just so it becomes relatable to both all of us and then the audience. So let's take a country like Canada. What do we think that Canada is doing recently, positioning as the best place to live, to work, and to raise your children? They are giving the world the comfort to come in. Come in, you can trade, you can live, you can have a convenient environment. So you're not going to spend the rest of your years chasing paperwork. You go to school in Canada, you get employment. You are assured because nobody is saying go back home. So families and parents are more confident about sending their children to Canada because they know that they can live there and work there and have great opportunity. And so whether it's for holiday or anything, so what do you think is happening? Their economy is becoming buoyant. Plenty and lots of immigrants, and people are going into that nation. And so they're not going to, in another 20, 30 years, say they are deprived of people, which is happening in some other economies where even young people are becoming extinct. So they are building really for the future and attracting everybody from all over the world, not just Africa and not just Nigeria. That's Canada, and that's a country.
And that's a nation.
Very deliberate, very intentional. They know where they're going, and they're doing it and attracting the whole of the world into Canada.
Very well.
Yeah? Business. There are tons of very successful businesses, but I love to talk of businesses in terms of the ones that have leveraged the strategies that we're talking about to transform all of their vision into something that is huge and sustainable. Apart from the global brands that we will manage, apart from the lots of businesses that we have moved from point A to B, one that comes to mind and I can very passionately talk about is Falcon Corporation. And I think you should also know about Falcon. Falcon is an oil enterprise that is going on its 25 years. At the time that we started working with Falcon, it was amazing, and that's about 4 years ago. It was amazing to see that somebody started a vision of becoming one of the best of Nigerian indigenous oil operator from just scratch. And this is a vision of a couple, Professor and Mrs. Audrey Jo Ezigbo, who just started by wanting to change the dynamics in the energy sector in Nigeria to reduce waste so that people are not flaring products and wasting products. And so they started from bottom up and started from the clean energy space, which is the natural gas. And today, Falcon has grown steadily and consistently, also leveraging key business strategies and principles and partnership, and as well as branding to be the best indigenous operations, and a world-class one for that matter.
Very well.
And do you want to know about the individual?
Yes.
Chizor Malize, of course.
I give you a round of applause for that. Very impressed.
Let me ask you.
Yes, please.
I mean, businesses fail.
Yes.
Brands fail. Brands lose equity.
Right.
Nokia at a time was #1 phone that everybody loved. Today, it's at the bottom end of the market. What pitfalls should people developing brands and businesses look out for?
The greatest and the best is innovation, research, follow the consumer mind. So sometimes businesses stop becoming innovative, and research is very critical. You need research to know what's happening, what's going on, what's new, where the opportunities are, what the consumer trends are. There was a time in this market also, besides Nokia, when everybody held a BlackBerry to be able to have an opportunity for a smartphone. Does that happen anymore? When you see anybody holding one, you still ask them, do you still hold
really
that stuff?
using a BlackBerry?
Right.
Yes.
Do you still hold that stuff? But the time was, when I got the first BlackBerry that I had in 2005, it was issued by Glo. Glo was the only organization that made that possible. You don't want to see it. I've hidden it somewhere and hoping that someday I'll bring it out and show my grandchildren. It was so ugly, but it was super great because we could do all of our communications on the go. But what happened to them? They alienated themselves by not recognizing where the market was going and the direction the market was going. And so when businesses begin to lose focus of the consumers, of the market, of the dynamics, and stop to innovate, they begin to die. So it's the same way when you say, stop to innovate, die right away. Innovation is critical.
Then the customer is king, right?
And the customer is king, and that's the reason why you've got research to help you, so you can continuously engage with people, understand what they want, and that's the reason why the successful brands are always playing around with people and the marketplace and the minds, and they know what's happening, what's new, what people require, and then they throw out that, and then there's a meeting of the mind and the meeting of the thoughts, and that's boom, exponential success.
Thank you very much for coming to the morning show.
Thank you very much.
We've had quite a great time
Yes,
discussing branding and marketing.
Thank you.
It's very impressive to have a woman like you sit here,
Thank you.
I really look up to you, and I think that you've been doing great. And we'll hope to have you come back to tell us how
your
you
brand is successful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
She's one of the best interviewers in the world. Every time she holds me down, she brings the best out of the entire process.
Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Nice
Thanks for
having you
having
here.
me. Yes.